I've been taking on this practice of being more intentional when I drink water, in part just, of course, for like we all have to drink our water, for health reasons, but really adding to that a sacred intention around it. My whole deal is worship is life, and so it's not to say we don't need ritual. It's how do we entwine ritual into all of life?
Yeah.
So I have to admit that I'm sporadic about it. I've not developed any, intense daily practice with it, but I do try to give a moment. And the woman that first inspired me to think about that, she actually invited me to speak to the water before I drank it, to kind of tell the water that I love it, or that I love myself, and then to share that experience with the water. Anyway, it's been meaningful. And, as a Swedenborgian, we have this, intellectual understanding that water is truth. It corresponds to truth. So I've always carried that knowing. Baptism, of course, is submerging in the water. And my ministry, the Be Honest ministry, I always associate Be Honest with baptism, clearing away that falsity, clearing away that which is no longer needed, and not even necessarily bad, but just no longer accurate, no longer true for the moment that I'm in, or the moment that we're in. And yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts about water, and feels so lovely to have a water priestess to reach out to explore this, because it does feel like there's a missing link. Like that if water is truth, as Swedenborg tells us, like that I don't want that to just live in my intellect. I want that to live in my body and in my heart. And ritual is one of those ways, right, that we connect the realms, or we connect the parts of ourselves. I'm also curious because in dream interpretation, water is often tied to emotion. So I've been thinking a lot about truth and emotion, which is actually also really big in my radar at the moment, because I think emotion does come with lots of truth. It's like packages of truth that needs to be felt and reckoned with. And I think for a lot of us, certainly for me, that stuff gets put on hold. We don't reckon with it, and builds up. And at some point, we have a choice about whether to receive that emotion, process it, release it, transform it, transmute it, whatever that process that occurs to receive the truth that's been kind of, put on hold or frozen because we didn't have the resources to deal with it. And I feel like a lot of my life right now is about building capacity so that I have resources to deal with truth, to deal with what's true, to deal with what's true about myself and on the planet. So those are my thoughts on water. I don't think I'm leaving any out. I need to drink some. My mouth is getting dry as I talk, so words are also like pour. They're always just pointing, right? This is the real thing. They're just pointing.
Okay. Well, taking a moment and consciously connecting with our water. I have my tea here, which is the hot water. And like we're always connected to water, but doing it consciously is for our benefit. Water is always connected. It's its nature. This sintering process, which is Sintering, sintering process. We'll talk about that. But it's the bonding that water naturally does. It's just what it does. And so whether we're conscious of it or not, it's happening. And our acknowledgement of it, I think, helps to increase our relationship to what is true. And it's true and it's present all the time. It's just becoming aware of it, as you know, just increases our capacity to grasp a tiny sliver of the wonder that we're a part of.
That's so well said. That's exactly what happens with breath work. It's like we're always breathing. It's not like we have to practice how we breathe, but we can. And when we do practice, it changes our breath, changes our experience. Yeah. What is this word centering? I love that word.
Sintering, I learned it from Leanne Simpson Bedesamasake, who is a Anishinaabe First Nation Native woman. And she has got this beautiful book called The Theory of Water, which I highly recommend. And in it, she talks about how, particularly when it comes to snow, that when snow falls, these water droplets high up in the clouds, they form around a particle, a dust particle of some kind, so that it can cohere into an ice crystal. And each and every ice crystal is unique, but they all share a similar structure with 6 arms that come out of a nucleus around that dust particle. And so the snow falls, and as it's falling, it may join with other snowflakes in this centering way of like where the 6 arms and branches on those arms, they lock together. That's centering. Because sometimes, snow falls as little clumps, and sometimes it doesn't. They're individual flakes. But then once they all get together on the ground, they center. They just immediately, that's what they do. They find each other and they lock. And then as the conditions change, they stay centered. And the conditions that change them change the nature of their bond. Like with snowpack has got particular ways that it behaves, but they're still always like reaching and locking to each other until they melt. And I think for us to remember that the water in our bodies, that is just naturally what it's doing. Is it the 2 hydrogen atoms and the 1 oxygen atom they are molecularly magnetized to do this thing, to gather and to center, no matter what form it takes. It's what it does. And so since we are so much water, that we have that same impulse by varying degrees, depending on your temperament and personality type and upbringing and all that. But it's just what we naturally do. It's always present. And I love this. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. As always, I contemplate the nature of water and what it's here to teach me just by being itself, and by my being keen on the relationship, on the nature of the reciprocity. And that's really for me what my relationship to water is built on is the acknowledgement of the reciprocity in every way that I've thought to do over the years. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly at my kitchen sink when I'm really aware of it. But it can happen at all times, or at any time. And then I'm curious about, like, when you say that water is truth, and then what is truth? And yeah, I'll make that a question. Like, what is Swedenborgian perspective? Like, what's truth?
Truth is just what is. Swedenborg might say it slightly differently, but so in the trinity of love, truth, and usefulness, love is the energy of life, the force of life. And then truth is the forms that life takes. And then usefulness is how those forms interact and live and function. So when you speak of centering, that feels really meaningful, that water, it seems to be a part of how life takes form, how it finds each other. Mm-hmm. And you think about creation, it's just this swirl of energy and mass, and then it finds each other, right? Something happens where a cell comes together, and then many cells become a larger organism, and water is always a part of that formation. So yeah, truth, I mean, obviously truth, it sort of feels like at this moment in our human evolution, we're kind of back at that chaos point. We're like, what is truth? I don't know what is. Everything's so chaotic in our minds, it's not, but and so I wonder, I don't know, just hearing you name that part of water coming back together, it's like, I feel like we're at that place where we need to come back together. We need to find each other again, find ourselves again, become more integrated. And that's so much at the heart of what I care about. And like, we all have water in our bodies. We all need water. There are these basic human realities that we all share regardless of our differences that we've sort of forgotten, I think, because our culture has we've gotten so interested in all these other things we can think about that make us different and that make us excited and that make us powerful, that make us have all these layers of identity, um, and at the core, and all of that like feels so real. Like it feels like, well, the truth is that you're Circe and I'm Sage, and there's a Zoom meeting happening, and there, like that we feel like there's all the like truth is complicated because we can have so many different opinions. But my sense is that at the core, truth is just what's happening now, and on some level, what's happening now is actually simpler than all that. That a lot of that stuff is kind of dross that will eventually. I don't know. One of the ways I think about it is like the zombie apocalypse hit tomorrow. Like everything shifted and you didn't have your job to go to and you didn't have like what would be true? You would need water, you would need friends, you would need like there's something about who we are that has a lot of things layered on top that when it comes to like the essence of the needs of the moment really can all be dropped in an instant. Anyway, those are some of my ramblings about truth. Yeah, it's form. It's the form of life. It's the forms that life takes. And those forms are changing, right? Like water.
Mm.
They're constantly changing. The truth, I think, it's movable, it's shifting.
Mm.
It must move in many ways. Like if it becomes too hard. I will say Swedenborg likes he said a lot of things represent truth, not just water. So rocks
Oh.
also are so different. So again, even truth, not only is it changeable, but it can appear in different ways. You know, it can appear in different ways. But I'm drawn to water as he definitely lifts water up above other things in terms of it being the highest description of truth. I think because of the many of the properties you named of its sintering capabilities, it's essential to life, and it's powerful. And fluid and flexible. Rocks seem very powerful, but they ultimately crumble. Yeah. What does truth mean to you? Is that a word that resonates for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think of truth and water. To me, that makes me think of law, natural law, cosmic law, the laws of physics as we understand them, that the clouds forming, raining, that rain being taken back up as evaporation back into the clouds, that constant cycling is law and is natural law. And that aligns with truth as well, that law and truth are these things that are like so inherent that they're just true without any sort of like interpretation, prevarication, malleability. It's not like a cloud is a cloud and it does what it does, and that's what it is.
It is. Yeah, and that subtle, like when you say natural law, that's that subtle, and I think you said it, like it's just what's happening, and it's not like I think where this becomes perverse, and where humans can make everything perverse, but like
Yeah.
this is what's happening here, so therefore this is how my neighbor should behave.
Yeah, yeah.
Or this is, that's where it gets perverted. Yeah, when we can take out all the moralizing and all the shoulds and all of our desire to dominate and control each other, it's like, I'm always trying to take that out. It's very hard to remove. What are we observing? And I think that's actually a big piece of what I'm trying to bring is like, can we just sit and observe what is happening now instead of jumping to how are we going to change it or fix it or control it and the natural world and the natural laws of the world, they do have so much to teach us. And I think that was a huge part of Swedenborg integrated a lot of that into his understanding of the universe. Obviously, we're always observing the world through our own understanding, and our understanding of physics change, and all kinds of things evolve, and rain happens. Evaporation happens. Like there are some things that continue to happen. When you observe the natural laws around water, and what do you learn about what are some of the things you might learn in terms of how you
Oh,
live in alignment with that? Or
right. Speaking of snow, it's snowing right now.
goodness, they said it might snow here too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's coming down right now pretty hard actually. Gosh, I probably
rain in the
think about,
springtime.
yeah, here it is. Yep. Wow, it's really coming down. Jeez. I probably think about mediation, how water is the great mediator. It's interstitial and it is the matrix, like it's both, that it makes things flow between levels, both in the seen and I'll say unseen, in that it travels like all around. Like we can't see evaporation happening, but it's a happening. And we're always enrobed in water, interiorly and exteriorly, in every way. Like even in the desert where there's very little water, there's still water there. And it still is a mediator. You know, it's a mediator for the creatures who need it in order to lay their eggs and to survive in the desert. And it is fundamentally, like, it is the fundamental life bringer. Like, life exists because water exists.
When you say mediator, tell me more about that word.
It brings things into being. It takes the being back again. So as a mediator, as I understand it, like we're mediating spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Like we have the ability we have consciousness, and we can reflect on our place in the cosmos, thus reflecting back to the universe itself. So we act as a mediator between heaven and earth. We're exquisitely positioned to be that.
Yeah. And so is water.
Mm-hmm.
Or water is a part of that.
Well, it is because of water.
Right.
And the water has memory.
Mm-hmm.
The water has memory of everything that has ever been and will ever be.
Does the water have, is your sense that the water has that memory of the past? Does it also hold the future, or is that our role in the human?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I can't speak with any sort of like assuredness, you know, what water, let's see, what am I working on here? I really enjoy the concepts of like the ancient past and the ancient future, and that time is a construct, and our ability to understand time in our kind of limited three-dimensional way. I don't necessarily ascribe that property to water. I think water knows it all, but is also very much in the present. And it is what it is. And it doesn't have any need of future anything, but it does contain the memory of the past.
And it contains now that which we give to it, or that which how we participate in it. What's your sense of your call in how you meet water now, or how you call others to be with water?
Yeah, you just put your finger on it. It's really to help people remember the sacred nature of water, because they know everybody has experience with water, and everyone has got an opinion about it, and everyone can connect to it. It's universal. Of all my titles that I trot out to introduce myself, when I say water priestess, that's the one that always piques the interest of people. You know, they're like, what is that? Well, I just hold the sacred for humans to remember what water really is. It's not we would think that it was our servant because we poop in it. And it flows endlessly, abundantly in these United States. For most people in the United States, it flows copiously and plentifully, and at any temperature that we want, and any amount that we want at any time. Even if you live in Texas and the water table has collapsed, and they really need to remember, what water is and its limitations, which they don't. Yeah. There's a growing number of people who are gathering the intel that, maybe we should pay attention to water in a different way, and honor it and respect it and treat it as it deserves to be treated. Because when you don't do that, you get things like the collapse of the Edwards Aquifer. And that's very serious for all the beings. And then Texas is still building data centers in Texas. It's like saying, yeah, come on, data centers, we'll host you. We ain't got no water. I don't know what they're thinking. It makes me nuts. Makes me crazy. Like, what are you thinking? Like, my mom's undergoing desertification. She lives just outside of Austin, and her little homestead has been, her 100-year-old colony of cactuses collapsed. That's a sign of desertification. Like, her mesquite trees are dying. That's desertification. So that's an answer to like what my role is to help people remember what the nature of water and what it is, and how we need to be in relationship to it so we can learn from it to learn how to be stewards of it. Because without that, like the most fundamental bond is broken, and that there's no hope.
It certainly feels, I certainly have my moments of hopelessness in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like we just chose ignorant. We've just chosen ignorance for quite of a long time and created structures that are built on, or that are not built on awareness of water and the systems of the world, and are causing harm. And it's so difficult to, it's so painful to come out of that ignorance that some of us just choose to double down on it. Have you seen signs of hope? Have you seen signs of change in terms of how humans are caring for and honoring the needs of water and life?
Yeah, all the time. I
Yeah.
think my favorite one, top of the list right now, is because it is big night, the big night. Do you know about the big night?
I actually don't.
It's the like the exact date is a little, it's there's a date range, and we're in it right now because I can hear the vernal pool peepers, the little green frogs. I hear them singing at night, and they just started,
Okay.
last week. So that tells me it's big night time. And big night is organized effort of citizen scientists in Maine go out on rainy nights to the roadsides with their flashlights and their safety vests, and they help escort frogs and salamanders across the road because they're leaving their forest home to go back to the vernal pool where they were born, and they're going back to mate and lay their eggs, and they get annihilated on the roads. And some lovely biologist started this effort, and it has just grown exponentially in a short amount of time. And he's just astonished that so many people want to come out on rainy, cold Maine nights and stand by the roadsides and just look for the wood frogs and the three-toed salamanders and have them help them with safe passage and count them and scrape up the dead splattered bodies of the ones that didn't make it and count them and do that wonderful citizen scientist work. So this fills me with great hope that act is it's water based, and it happens in a very particular way, and it's just beautiful. I love it. It fills me with great hope and tenderness because I love frogs and salamanders so much.
That's beautiful. I love knowing about that. And it's definitely another one of my wonderings in this next phase of life, that there's so much to do. There's so much life that needs care,
Yes,
right? So
yes.
much. And I think we all kind of go, "Ah, it's overwhelming." But if we all can kind of follow our love and our tenderness and our care, and maybe watch 2 hours less of TV a day, or whatever it is we're doing that's about kind of consuming and taking in, to participate in this world, and then the creatures and the life upon it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
hope in.
yeah, there's a real re-enchantment. I think that's another
Yeah.
big part of my priestess and spiritual service is helping
Mhm.
people remember that it is all enchanted. And I know that Swedenborg has got a thread of that. And I'm in Devin Zuber's class right now, greening Swedenborg. So,
Sure.
Emerson and the Thoreau re-enchantment is the romantics are really kind of front of mind right now.
Yeah. Yeah, enchanted, sacred, it's divine, and that always is what's true. Like you said that at the beginning, like water is always doing its thing, whether we're aware of it or not. And the sacred, it's always enchanted, but we've lost our vision, we've lost the pulse of that for some reason. And it does feel like we need it. We need to remember. We need to remember. And as you said at the beginning too, I think that's another real meeting point with your training and path, and what Swedenborg is bringing is what he also was saying, that the humans are the connecting point between heaven and earth, because we're witnessing this great majesty of life that's been created, and we're able to observe it and appreciate it and revel in it and wonder about it and imagine into being new ways of, I don't know, caring for the frogs, or, and thus far we've mostly done that work in this dominating consumerist mode of, this is my servant. If we could shift that energy and really be participants in it. I'm very interested in the solar punk movement right now, kind of films that are and stories that think about how we can incorporate technology into alignment with the systems of life, and instead of it being this wasteland of destruction, is there a possibility of a new era of thriving? Take a big change, but I know there's lots of us on the planet. They're like, I'm ready for a big change.
Yeah, I think it's happening.
Yeah.
I'm very excited by what's happening in my community. It's infectious. The excitement for the re-enchantment and for the relationship to whatever it is that we're a part of the natural world that we're connecting to. Like, people are very open and eager for that. And I think water teaches us too that, like, I've seen this in a vision. I see it and I hear about it and I know it to be true, that water responds to human prayer and intention. And when I have a water ceremony and we collect our ceremonial water and I take it to the ocean's edge, and at that moment of when the tide changes from when the tide is coming in to when it's going out, if I time that right, which I do, I then pour that ceremonial water into that moment. And then it spreads everywhere. I can see it, like in my sacred imagination, like it goes rapidly into the body of water that is the world. And it happens fast. And that's the nature of water. I mean, the opposite is true too. Like, when pollution enters, that also impacts, but it doesn't, the fundamental nature of water is still there, even when it's polluted. It's still there. So I think that these ideas and these intentions and these prayers and hopes, they spread quickly. And if we can just get 2 to 3% of us going in this direction, then the changes will be made.
The changes will be made.
It doesn't take like half the population to make the changes. It just takes a small percentage doing this work.
Amen. I believe that to be true. And that it feels connected to this, what we've been talking about around becoming aware and having consciousness around the relationship. That's a really powerful act. And one person having consciousness around water and having that relationship compared to, I don't know, 10 or 15 just not benefiting from water but not being aware, there's power in that, right? So that the 2 to 3% can really bring a change. And I think this swirls into our having this conversation is we're bringing about that change with different language, different practices, different sacred stories. Some of us want to help the frogs, some of us want to do something else. Like, it does feel like part of how this 2 or 3% of us who are making this change really need to find one another on that essential level so that we can honor each other's stories and ways of being, join up and participate together, when one of us wants to create something. But it feels like those of us who are shifting, part of what we're shifting out of is this competition mentality or this domination mentality.
Yeah.
And that's a shift. It's like on some level, it feels like there is a shift occurring. And within that shift, there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people who are different from one another.
Well, it makes me think of Riane Eisler's The Chalice and the Blade. Just this last Cosmic Mass, we did a whole movement piece around this. Our Cosmic Mass was called Mending the Web, Transforming Conflict. And we brought in Eisler's work because she, like her theories of shifting from a dominator paradigm into a partnership paradigm. What does that look like? And what does that feel like in our bodies, more importantly? So we got to do a little psychodrama, and we acted these scenes of conflict out, like the family dinner table, the inheritance, the police stop. Like these are the scenes that we enacted and got them in our bodies. And then we were able to shift out of that and see what does partnership look like and feel like in the body. We all know what both of them feel like. And it's just being conscious and aware that to make the shift in the moment, like, you got to know your conflict style, or you don't have to, but it helps to know your conflict style so you can make a different choice in that moment. And because the dominator paradigm is what the consumer capitalist culture is
Yeah.
that's the boot heel that we're under. But we can get out of that in all kinds of creative,
Yeah.
rascally ways, use the dandelion as our who
Yeah.
shows us the way of how to decentralize and multiply our radical ideas and find the cracks and
Hmm.
thrive in those cracks. Like we can do that, and we do that. It's
Hmm.
happening.
Do you think we all know what the partnership model feels like in our body?
Yeah. Yeah, it's mutual aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess from my own experience, this is very recent, but I'm really coming to recognize how much my nervous system is programmed to perceive even connection as like demand.
Mm.
So I'm starting to root out some of those very deep layers of conditioning that are like don't even really know how to
Mm.
partnership and collaborate, like don't know how to be the receiver. So I may be an outlier, maybe others have had more of those experiences. I
Mm.
definitely I'm the firstborn, so I've had a lot to
Mm. Right.
unleash, but what it's really shown me and coming to see that is just yeah, just how I really need to learn how to be in partnership. This is a learning curve. It's not a obvious
Mm.
option
Mm.
because it
Mm.
feels to me like patriarchy is just like built in. It's everywhere. It's in all my cells, and they are changing. So I have hope. Like I do have hope that I'm finding my way to back to something that is more in balance and receptive. But I wouldn't say I always know what that feels like. I think I'm coming to know. I think I've stumbled into those moments, but in general in my life, I have been the one to be holding in the space, and I have not been the one to be receiving.
Mm.
So I do sense there's a learning that all of us are going through, and maybe I'm on a extreme level of the spectrum. I don't know, but I wonder sometimes. I don't know that I think the shift is occurring, and I like what you say about it's occurring everywhere because that's the whole point. It's not one divine leader coming to, enact the change. It's
Right.
emerging all over the place
Yeah.
through as people heal and bring out their gifts. Um, and then we kind of find each other and like the water molecules, right? We're drawn together and I would share that in my experience of that emerging and coming, there's a lot that needs to be shed. And I don't know, I guess I'm shedding it. So I guess it's happening and I guess
Yeah, yeah, I
it's
heard it.
working.
I heard it with at the
Yeah.
very top of our conversation, you holding your glass of water and recognizing, the being that it is and shifting your relationship around it, like coming into partnership with it. And and if you deconstruct that feeling
Yeah.
of, beholding and then thanking and taking it in,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is building the muscle of being in partnership because we can't be in partnership at every moment. Like sometimes we need to
Yeah.
be in the front and like as moms and as
Yeah.
clergy caring for our community, we need to, be the driver, but we're also like not beating people over the head with our authority. We're very much in partnership with and sensitive to their feelings and all the dynamics of being part of a community, that's partnership right there. I think it's happening in a lot of ways all the time. Yeah, it's just a balance, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And it's a change. It's a transformation. The skills that I was given as a child to get to the point today have served me to get to here, and many of them now need to be thrown out the window. Many of them are no longer useful, and I think that's probably true all over the planet right now, that the things we've been learning to survive and to cope and to get our needs met and to feel successful or what all those things are, sometimes there comes a moment when we start to recognize that actually is in the way or that's harmful. And I guess that's a good place to come to. I mentioned baptism at the beginning, like the be honest invitation for me is very centered around a willingness to be humble in our journey and being willing to accept our failings, like accept how we've missed the mark, see be a Texan who sees their cactus dry up and go, dang, how are we dealing with water here? Maybe we need to, maybe the way grandpa did it isn't the way I need to do it. And to accept that change and not see it as a lack of respect or a lack of honoring of our ancestors, right? Like how do we honor our ancestors? And part of how we honor them is to be true now, right? And to not see that failing as you were wrong. Like they didn't know any better. They didn't know any different. And once we do know different, how do we accept change? And I think water to me teaches me that lesson. The water in our womb is what allows the baby to come. Like it's these thresholds of change. And this is where I feel very moved by the Christian invitation of regeneration, rebirth. It's like we can always be born anew. And we're not losing anything. I think our egos feel like we lose something when we admit we were wrong or we did it wrong. Our egos struggle with that, but our souls are like ready to be like, yeah, that was. And I don't know, the longer I walk this path, the more the more I see the ways I've done it wrong or the ways I see that worked for me and it's not going to work anymore. And grief is involved in that too, which is probably also why water is so integral to our tears, sorrow. Anyway, so I will confess to you, I think another thing for me is in my worship is life invitation and in my own like individual human firstborn daughter journey, I don't like people telling me what to do.
Oh yeah, right.
I'm telling myself what to do. So like,
yeah.
Creating a ritual or and then a discipline of doing it, there's stuff in there. There's like resistance in there. And I've been journeying with that too, with like even this very simple water ritual of like feeling the gratitude of my water. There's like a little part of me that's like, okay, yeah, you don't have to today, or I don't know.
Right. No, right. Whenever I do water ceremonies, I often will bring a little tap charm, which is a little piece of like beading elastic with a blue drop bead on it. Yeah. And the invitation is I hand them out, and the invitation is for people to go home and take that and put it on their tap, their water tap of either their kitchen or their bathroom, stretch it around so that I can see that blue bead on my kitchen sink, and my kitchen sink is my altar. And it's just the visual reminder that here's an opportunity to create a relationship. And what that looks like is that maybe instead of letting the water run when I'm, gathering my dishes to clean them, I'll turn it off in between each one and just make a little bit of extra effort in that relationship of honoring. Yeah. And that feels less like, oh, I have to drink water, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. I don't know. It's somehow, I know what you're talking about. That little ornery cuss inside of me. I was like, you can't make me. I don't want to. Holy schmoly. Yeah.
That's a funny mix with ritual and church. All of it is it helps to have ritual. It helps to awaken it. And it also can sometimes contain it too much so that you miss it. Because when I think about the sacred moments I've experienced with water, it's often impromptu, right? It's the jumping in the river and the being in the, so it's a dance. It's sort of a conversation, and we need the intention, and then we need the freedom, and then then it sort of comes back together. I love that invitation to put something on the faucet. And I love that your sink is your altar. I've been trying to get people to share with me, I have my altar behind me here, and it feels meaningful to have it in this space because this is primarily my little church. It's my little corner of the room. But the kitchen sink feels like a very appropriate altar space.
Yeah, because that's where the real practice is. Yeah. Just right. It's right there. And just the gratitude for the Sebago Lake water and my ancestors and the people of this place that laid those thousands of miles of pipe. And all the people that day in, day out monitor both the waste in and the waste out, and the purified water in and the wastewater out. Like that whole system is run by hearts and hands. Very, very well intentioned, amazing people keeping that going, and very careful, conscientious people making sure that the discharge on the wastewater end is worthy to go back out in the ocean as best as they can, imperfectly, but they're doing it.
Well, that's a lovely reminder too, is yes, there are broken systems, and there are also all of these humans who have been seeking to care for the water of our and making sure all of us other humans have access to it. And I think that's another shift that can happen is when we just look at the humans and the care. Those humans probably want to be doing a good job. They want, and so if change is needed, they probably would like to be a part of that change, instead of just getting into this very critical mindset of that's wrong and, to come back to the real humans who are participating. That feels
Yeah.
really um
Yeah. Small number really are maintain the Portland Water District, small number of people. But there's been armies of people over the generations who hand dug those trenches to lay those pipes for thousands of miles. You know, that's a lot of care.
yes. Well, thank you for your time, Circe, and all the ways you are helping to awaken our sense of enchantment with water and with life. And any advice for me or suggestions in my daily water ritual? Do you have any kind of drinking water ritual in your life, or
Hmm.
have you over the years? Like the washing the dishes is your
Yeah, I feel like it's always running in the back of my mind.
oh,
My relationship to water. I talk about it a lot. I don't know that I used to have a Brita water pitcher when I lived in Pennsylvania because we needed to filter our water, and that water pitcher had a a word on it, kind of the
right.
emoto theory that
Mhm.
these words can infuse our water with these positive things. And I saw
Mhm.
him speak, and I
Okay.
totally, absolutely,
Uh-huh.
100% buy what he's selling
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I feel the truth of it. And I have a water pitcher that we use here in our house that we all adore. Like it has a name, Blubby, and we talk. It's one of those fish pitchers that
Uh-huh.
blubs whenever you pour it,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
we just love it, and
Mhm.
we love the water that comes out of it, and we adore this thing, partially because it's our water pitcher.
Like
Also
a
because
family
it's
member. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's whimsical. So I feel like that it's just kind of baked in without any sort of like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm drinking my water in a holy way. Oh. You know, it's less that and more just being
Right.
in fun, loving appreciation.
Yeah, an intention. Actually, I'm going to take that advice about the word. That's a lovely way to
Mm-hmm.
sort of feels like the drop on the faucet. Like if I have
Yes.
word on my water
Yes,
gun.
yes, yeah, and change the word from time to time. I use this a lot
Yeah.
with my clients to go put a word on or have a flower essence that you use to put a drop in your water or anoint your pitcher or whatever, however that might look. You
Mhm.
could just have the bottle nearby,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that infuses it because that's the way that water works. It has an electromagnetic charge.
Yeah. Well, and that playfulness, that seems like the antidote to that teenagery dynamic I was naming.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Keeping it playful is key.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you. Thanks for taking the time and asking questions and letting me get to talk about one of my favorite topics.
Well, it feels like a lovely place where our lives are intertwining as you lead in Portland and bring your gifts. And we think of Swedenborg and water and life. I feel like that we're on a threshold of a more embodied,
Yeah.
connected, learning from one another, learning from the natural world, and bringing
Yeah.
change, which is, I think, what we're all
Yeah.
about. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
We had a World Water Day ceremony planned for March 22nd, which is World
Oh,
Water Day.
okay.
But we got rained out. Ha ha. It was snow, rain mix. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, we had a whole thing planned. Ha ha. It's not funny when your water ceremony gets
It
rained
is
out. So we'll do it again at some point, and we will do it soon, I hope, in the next month or two. So I'll let you know when it's happening
good. I would love to join you
and
for
all
some.
that. And then I would leave you with a song.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
Mm.
And here's a little snippet of it. Um, Oh, the clouds, see the break in the clouds, feel the sun shining down through the clouds. Oh, the clouds, see the break in the clouds, feel the sun shining down through the clouds. Oh, the clouds, see the break in the clouds, Feel the sun shining down through the clouds. Love to you, my dear.
Thank you.
It's the
Bye.
remembrance to be intimate, to be honest and accepted.